5 games with the injury, the quad, keeping Caitlin Clark on the sidelines. But Trevor, she was back today for...
What happens when Caitlin Clark gets blindsided, not by an opponent on the court, but by her own league's politics, media hypocrisy, and a silence that cuts deeper than any foul? You get the kind of betrayal that shatters illusions and rewrites the rules of loyalty in professional sports. Caitlin Clark wasn't just a rookie stepping into the WNBA. She was a revolution in sneakers. The kind of generational talent who could sell out arenas, revive dormant fan bases, and spark a cultural movement. She brought hope, headlines, and heat. But what did the league give her in return? Elbows to the ribs, dirty fouls, deafening silence, and worst of all, leaders who watched from the sidelines as the golden girl of basketball got tossed into the grinder. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about betrayal. It's about a league that begged for relevance, finally got it, and then didn't know what to do with it. Instead of protecting its biggest asset, the WNBA became a battlefield where Caitlin Clark was forced to fight alone. From media personalities cherry-picking her words, to teammates letting her take the fall for their own insecurities, the message was clear. Welcome to the league, rookie. Now shut up and survive. But here's the twist. Caitlin didn't break. She got stronger, smarter, and sharper. Every foul, every smear, every cold shoulder, it only added fuel to the fire. And now the world is watching. The question isn't if Caitlin Clark will survive. It's who's going to regret betting against her. If you're tired of seeing real talent get chewed up by politics and fake allyship, like this video, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Is the WNBA protecting its future or sabotaging it? Let's get into it.
Sure will be a big first step for me, but it's just one step for the WNBA. Thanks to all the great players like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, the great Dawn Staley, and my bad.
Larry Bird isn't one to jump into the media circus. He's a legend, a Hall of Famer, and a man whose name is etched in basketball history. So when Larry Bird steps forward, not for a trophy or tribute, but to defend a rookie, you know something's broken in the system. Bird saw what the rest of us saw. Caitlin Clark being treated like a punching bag in a league that should be honoring her presence. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't play nice. He called it for what it was. Jealousy, politics, and a league missing the bigger picture. For Bird, this wasn't just about basketball. It was about respect. It was about leadership. And above all, it was about Indiana. The same state where Bird once ruled the court is now the home of Caitlin's new legacy. And Larry wasn't about to watch that legacy get destroyed before it even begins. When Bird spoke up, it wasn't for applause. It was a warning to the league, to the coaches, to the executives. You don't bench your brightest light because others feel dim beside her. You build around her. His voice wasn't the loudest, but it was the one that echoed the deepest. Because when a legend like Larry Bird has to stand up for your Rookie of the Year candidate, that says more about the league than it does about the player. Caitlin didn't ask for protection, but Bird reminded everyone, greatness deserves it anyway.
This is wild. WNBA All-Star Weekend. It's supposed to be the star of all stars. All the big dogs is out. Asia Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, everybody's out. The big dogs are out. You got the rookie, you got Angel Reese, Miss Me Too. All of the stars are here, and look at this news. The get-in price for the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis has dropped 48% from $121 to just $64 after news broke that Caitlin Clark won't be playing. Uh-oh. Spaghetti.
While the league stayed silent, Indiana erupted. Fans didn't need press releases. They didn't wait for permission to care. They saw Caitlin Clark getting bruised, battered, and benched, and they made their voices heard loud and clear. These weren't just basketball fans. They were believers. They packed arenas, lined up for jerseys, and tuned into games they never cared about before. They didn't show up for gimmicks. They showed up for Caitlin. So when she got hit with dirty fouls, they noticed. When she got snubbed from press coverage, they protested. And when her minutes were slashed, they got louder, not quieter. They started hashtags, they flooded comment sections, and they made one thing crystal clear. If the WNBA won't back Caitlin, we will. For Indiana, Caitlin Clark wasn't just a player. She was a movement, a moment, a mirror of everything fans had been begging for. Excellence, heart, humility, and fire. The kind of athlete that made you believe in the game again. This wasn't blind loyalty. It was earned respect. And when the league refused to show it, Indiana doubled down. This fan base didn't back off. They built a wall around their star. The league wanted to test Caitlin's toughness. Fine. But they weren't ready for Indiana's toughness, too.
Story we have been following throughout the past 2 days surrounds a superstar herself, Caitlin Clark, the WNBA star, the Indiana Fever star, Caitlin Clark. She's going to miss all the action on the court.
You can measure a player's talent in stats, but you measure their impact in silence. Who speaks when they're targeted and who doesn't? When Caitlin Clark started taking hits, physical and reputational, some of her loudest so-called supporters suddenly forgot how to speak. The same executives who plastered her face on promotional posters disappeared when she needed backup. The same coaches who bragged about growing the league with her presence kept their mouths shut as she got clobbered on court. It was more than disappointing. It was disgraceful. No statement, no press conference, no disciplinary action for players who went after her. Just crickets. And what's worse, the silence wasn't just passive. It was political. A quiet approval. A shrug that said, she'll figure it out. Or flame out. But here's what the suits didn't expect. The silence didn't silence Caitlin. It strengthened her. Instead of waiting for someone to save her, she became her own shield. She didn't cry to the cameras or lash out online. She let her game talk. And when the cameras panned to her, she gave them highlight reels, not excuses. The WNBA had a chance to show real leadership. They had a chance to say, we protect our stars. They blew it, but Caitlin, she didn't.
We shall never know peace, at least when it comes to the WNBA space. It was this ad that Angel put out, and I don't know if this is part of a larger campaign where it's going to be similar themes in similar places, but because of where the WNBA All-Star Game is, and because of who plays on the Indiana Fever in the home city of the WNBA All-Star Game, it's going to raise some eyebrows.
Caitlin Clark's arrival should have been a coronation, not a crucifixion. But instead of being welcomed, she was put on trial. Her crime? Being too good, too popular, and too white in a league that wasn't ready to reckon with its own insecurities. The whispers started fast. She's just a media product. She hasn't earned it yet. She needs to be humbled. So the league let it happen. They let her get dragged through controversy after controversy, most of which she didn't create. They turned a blind eye as opponents took cheap shots. And then they gave the ultimate insult, benching her during the All-Star Game. Not because she wasn't good enough, but because it would have made other players look smaller. You'd think being the most watched player in the league would earn you a spot on the court. But apparently, in the WNBA, viewership and ticket sales matter, until they don't. The All-Star snub wasn't just a headline. It was a humiliation campaign, a clear signal to Caitlin and her fans, we see you, and we still won't give you your due. But if the goal was to make her quit, bad move. Clark didn't pout, she performed. She showed up the next game and lit it up. Because that's what real stars do. They don't need your crown. They build their own.
WNBA's All-Star Game went down 36%. That is a lot. That's more than a third from last year. Last year was over 3.4 million people, and it went down to 2.1. Now, You could say is a success. Yeah, for women's sport, that is still a lot of people. But at the same time, it really isn't a success because think about it. It's the only sport playing. It's the only game that's going. And you only could draw that. So, and this is with all the...
Coach Christy Sainz didn't just coach through chaos. She coached with clarity. In a league full of double standards, silent locker rooms, and passive-aggressive politics, Sainz stood up, stood tall, and sent a message. When Caitlin Clark was thrown into the fire, physically targeted, benched, and belittled, Sainz didn't hide behind a press release. She spoke directly, passionately, and unapologetically. She called out the missed calls. She defended her players' right to be protected. She acknowledged the weight Clark carried, not just as a rookie, but as the face of a franchise and the target of resentment.
It was just a good play on the basketball. I'm not sure what the refs saw to upgrade it, and that's up to their discretion after watching the initial whatever happened during the play and then whatever happened.
This wasn't just basketball anymore. It was personal. It was raw. It was real. Lexi Hull didn't hold back. When Caitlin Clark was shoved, attacked, and left to fend for herself, Lexi wasn't just watching. She was hurting. She spoke up, loudly, honestly, fearlessly. Her words weren't rehearsed. They weren't filtered. They were full of frustration and love. This isn't okay. This isn't normal. And this isn't what women's sports should look like. Sophie Cunningham echoed that fire. You could see it in her body language, her press conferences, her fouls that suddenly looked personal. She wasn't just playing, she was fighting for someone. This wasn't about wins and losses anymore. It was about identity, about respect, about drawing a line in the sand and saying, if you go after one of us, you go through all of us. The Indiana Fever weren't just teammates. They were sisters in the storm. And when Clark fell, they didn't run from the thunder. They stood in it.